But you may have seen that Facebook is stopping its facial recognition features on the actual Facebook platform. So what they're doing is they are shutting down on Facebook, whether you've opted in or not. You will now not automatically be recognized in photos and videos, and they'll be deleting more than 1 billion people's individual facial recognition templates. To my knowledge, and a little research that I did last night, about 30% of Facebook users, which is a pretty good amount, have opted in to allow that facial recognition tracking. So, in one side, it's interesting. We were talking about our tech knowing this already too much. That Facebook acknowledged that there are some pros to this, but also potential cons, and canceled it. But here's the other side of it, to be devil's advocate. They did not stop this and are not going to stop facial recognition for their Meta products, meaning VR.
Yeah, which means nothing happened.
Well,
It means nothing happened.
means? Is that what it means?
I think so. Yeah, because Facebook is a dying platform, all right, and they know it. Like they are watching these other social medias just fucking crush them, and no one's, what are the kids on? Not fucking Facebook, I promise
they're not.
you.
They're not.
You know, so they know this, and they are pivoting. They're pivoting everything. They are like, okay, it's not going to be Facebook anymore. We are shifting. We're changing our name. We're changing our products. We're changing this. We're changing that. And they're always going to stay, however, that data collection company and that advertising company. So they're just changing names, dude. They're like, okay, nope, you'll never have to have a Facebook account again to use VR. But it's a fucking Meta. It's the same thing. It's like, it's just a rebranding. It's just changing a name.
Let me play devil's advocate on that real quick.
Sure.
So here's my one thought process. I think it's different in the sense of, so I look at Facebook's version, right? I'm thinking, okay, what are the pros and cons of this? And I don't know. So I based on the article provided by Facebook, so keep that in mind. It looks like one of the changes that is going to impact is they did have a feature for automatic alt text, which creates images for the blind and visually impaired based on that facial recognition. So they basically could read out text to you to describe these pictures that is automatically detecting by people who opted into this service. So you have this benefit where facial recognition helped a certain group. There is a sentence down here that says, we need to weigh the positive use cases for facial recognition against growing societal concerns, especially as regulators have yet to provide clear rules. Please note, I'm speaking only on Facebook, the social media platform, not on their virtual reality meta section. So I read that and I go, okay, what's the pros for facial recognition on a social media base, just the Facebook platform itself? Yes, they gave me one clear one there. I can't really think of much. Like, I don't know what the benefit is, right? Like, deep to myself. Then Meta says they're going to use facial recognition software. And I go, okay, this is a different beast. It's a lot more data. There's a lot more societal concerns. Everyone's right there. There's also a lot more personal benefits here. You can identify sickness. There's almost a pre-medicine type abilities of this. There are other things. There are a lot of benefits that facial recognition can do. Not only to that, but provide a better social presence if we care about our avatars and things like that. It can provide us more immersion, and the technology can get better with foveated rendering and eye tracking. I know that's not facial recognition, but it's up there. It's a different game to me when we're talking VR and facial recognition of what it can and cannot do. Now, there are big societal concerns. I personally want to see where this goes with facial recognition in VR. I think some of the pros may outweigh the cons.
Yeah, I'm actually not against facial recognition technology at all. I am, however, against Facebook coming out, making some kind of fucking announcement to make it sound like they're removing a feature that's invasive, which at the end of the day isn't going to change anything. They're still going to have all the same data. It's just going to be applied in a different way, probably in a more profound way, in a way that's more useful to them. Like, you're talking about the pros and the cons, and you're thinking about that from the consumer perspective, but the whole time I'm thinking about what the pros and the cons are for them. It's like, what are the pros for them to have all of this facial tracking recognition software out there? And I take every single thing they say with a grain of salt, because they have proven that you have to, because they'll make a promise and then break it a year later, and we just fucking, we're like, oh well, they broke our promise, like they don't get punished, so they're able to come out, make claims, make statements that alleviate people's worries and fears and make them feel like they're more trustworthy, and then turn around and do whatever the fuck they want. So I take this with a grain of salt, and I don't think that Facebook coming out saying that they're removing a feature that is seemingly invasive is doing anything. And just doesn't excite me.
Our next subject, I want to go one more thing on this, but it's funny that you say that, because the next story, it's technically good, but the way it was phrased, your point is very, very valid. And I thought it was funny that you said that. But when it comes to facial recognition with VR, let's put the companies aside. What are your thoughts on that? Will this be one hell of a value add to the consumer eventually, where it's opted in? Like, let's say it's an opt-in program. Let's just say it is, which it likely won't be. But for argument's sake, let's say it is. Do the majority of people opt into something like this?
Yeah.
Why so?
I think they would. So long as there was like one use case that like saved them a bunch of time, like if I could use facial recognition software to dynamically change the avatar based on who's wearing the headset, that would be fucking cool. I put the headset on, there's my avatar, I hand it over to my wife, it immediately changes into her, like that kind of thing. That sounds dope. Like, I think if people who shared headsets had the opportunity to opt into something like that, they would take it. If they're like, hey, can we track your face, and like you don't offer anything as like for that, then that would be maybe not so much. People would probably be a little bit more hesitant to do that.
If it was opt-in, likely what would happen is there would not be much benefits for a consumer right away. People opting in are just those people who don't care, and they like,
it just takes a little bit of a push. It just takes a little bit of, it's like on Facebook, for example, it was like, hey, do you want us to tag your photos for you? Like, that's what it was.
I don't know. I haven't used Facebook in so long.
Yep. It's like, hey, look, let's make tagging your photos super easy. Like, we track the facial things and say, is this you? Is this your friend? Oh, is this your wife? And you're like, yep. And you're just clicking on faces. So the reason to opt in on Facebook was to tag easily, so that way you don't have to go in and click on everyone's face manually. It just streamlined it, and I think that was all people needed, because they're not thinking about the VR headsets that are going to steal even deeper shit in the future. They're just trying to tag photos. So I think all you have to do is provide some form of time saver with those functions to get people to sign on, and that's it.
Which actually makes the 30% less impressive. Than maybe that's a sign that people are more on the side of privacy. If it was that easy to opt in and only 30% did it, maybe that is a good sign that people really do value their privacy, and they might have a harder time getting more people. Who knows? Well, I'm speculating here. Hit that subscribe button to stay on top of the daily clips, or catch the debates and fireside chats live on the main channel down in the video description. See you next time, Space Cowboys.